Hello again, and here we are back out on the water. I've been asked to just run through some of the equipment I use, and I'm happy to do that. So first of all, here's the rod. I use a Sage X. It is expensive, but like most things, you get what you pay for, and I really do like Sage rods. Now you'll notice that I've only put up half of this rod so far, and that's quite intentional. I never try to stand up in the boat if I can avoid it. By putting up the rod in two halves, I can then thread the line through one half and then through the second half without having to stand up. So the reels that I use, I'm a great believer in cartridge reel systems, and I use the Airflow cartridge system. I find them very, very good. They've got spare spools come as part of the kit, and you'll see I've got here various sinking and floating lines. These are all the Airflow 40 plus lines, because I love the fact that they've got different sink rates and you can work out exactly what you're doing. So that one there is a 1-inch sink rate. The one I'm going to be using today is a 2-inch. There's a 3-inch, a 5-inch, a 7-inch, and this is a floating line, although I don't use the Airflow line. That's a Rio line for floating. That's because it's a shorter head, gives me better casting distance. So let's just start setting this up. You can see that I'll try and keep everything neat and tidy. So we'll just take the reel and put it on the rod. And I'll just set this up and then I'll come back to you. So there we are, we've set the lining up on the rod now, and let's have a look here. This is my leader box. I like to keep all my leaders ready to go. Nice little box. And today we're going to be using a mixture of hare's ears, so 2 hare's ears on the top middle dropper, and an appetizer on the point. We're actually fishing the bubble line today, as you can see. I've parked right next to the bubble line. I'm going to be trying to cast across and bringing it back forward. The fish tend to be sitting just off the bubble line and around about 5 foot of water. That's why we're going to be using the 2-inch sink line. Okay, so let's just set all this up and see how we get on. So we've got the point fly about 3 or 4 foot, 3 foot to the first middle dropper, another 3 foot to the top dropper, and then about 3 or 4 foot to the main line. Put everything away as we go. The leaders I use are the Seaguar Soft Plus, and the droppers and the 2 lower portions are 10.4 pounds, and the top part of the dropper, this piece, is a 15.9. That may sound heavy, but it just gives an extra little bit of strength, because sometimes this has to come up through the rod rings, and also because it's slightly stiffer, it helps with turnover as well. So here we go. Let's just move everything out of the way. I have been here the last couple of days and have been catching fish here. I had 16 fish a couple of days ago and 12 fish the day after that, so there's definitely fish around here. It does take a little while to get this line working properly. Because it's a slow sink, it needs to absorb a slight bit of moisture before it'll actually start working properly, but that's fine. Okay, so we're going to just get it up now with a 2-inch sack. There we go. With the 2 inches a second, I'm going to count to 30, so I'll come back to you after I've done that. 29, 30, and now we're just going to do a nice simple figure of 8 retrieve. Why gold rib hare's ear? Why appetizer? Well, the gold rib hare's ear are meant to emulate the sedge that will be coming off later on in the day, and will probably be swimming up through the water column at the moment. So we're going to try and make it look like we've got some sedge swimming. And there was a touch. And the appetizer is a fry imitation. There are literally tons of fry in this water at the moment, so we know that we're imitating fish food sources that are in the water at the moment. So that was the first cast of the day, and we've already had a pull. You can see in this water that there is actually a slick piece, a piece where there's not so much water movement, and that's because the water is moving away from the bubble line and then falling down again, so it's coming from the bubbles and it's going through this rough patch and then starting to fall down again, right? And that means that there is that slightly calmer patch, and the fish tend to sit between the calmer patch and the rougher patch. That's where the food is actually falling back through the water column. So let's see if we can have another touch again. Just a nice simple figure of 8. Sometimes I'll count to 30, 20, sometimes I'll even just start retrieving immediately, because there are always fish hanging around here looking for the bits of stuff that are coming up through the bubble lines. Bubbles wash everything up off the bottom, and the fish are opportunistically sitting waiting to see if they get an easy meal. Wind's just blowing slightly off my right ear, so I am casting slightly across the wind, but the boat is sitting pointing away from the bubble line simply because of the current generated by the bubbles. It's not, you don't always have to simply cast away from the bubble line. Sometimes you can cast across the bubbles like this and let the current wash the line across and away from you. Five, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Here we go again. So this time the flies are actually coming across the bubble line, moving in an arc away from it. this time of the year, which is June. We've just finished lockdown, thank goodness, but we've missed a very good part of the season. Water temperature is up to 19.5 degrees, so the fish have already started moving down in the water to try and find cooler water, but they will sit on these bubbles because the cooler water is being washed up anyway. And there we go. Oh, and off again. That was a nice fish. There you go, the system works. Now we'll try it again. So this time I've cast parallel with the bubble line, so we're going to try and bring it back across as it sweeps away from the bubbles. When these fish take, they take very confidently. Now that was a countdown to 30, so I'm now going to do a 0 countdown. I'm just going to cast it out and start retrieving straight away. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there we go. Very confident take. And they do fight well because this is extra oxygen in this water. It does seem to give them a good old fighting spirit. You can see, even though this is a huge fish, he still wants to give a good account for himself. Get the landing net ready. Taken the gold rib hairs here on the top drawer. I don't like to bully my fish, I like to let them wear themselves out. When I release it, I always hold the fish gently in the water, give it plenty of time to get itself fit again, and just then let it gently swim away from you. And here we go. There we go. Now I'll just turn this off whilst I release the fish.